Hi, my name is Raul Roncal, and I'll be giving a presentation on the Christian approach to social media. This is talk number one of a series of talks, a total of three. The second talk will be about social media and how we relate to each other as brothers and sisters. And last but not the least, social media as a tool for mission. Now, why talk about social media? Well, social media seems to be a predominant part of our life today. And that's why we want to understand what's a good way of relating to it. So the first talk is about our Christian approach to social media. Now, what is social media to start with? Well, social media is just media used for social networking. Another way of saying it is we're talking about websites, applications, programs, platforms, where people are able to create and share content for the sake of social networking. That's our experience of social media: Facebook, Twitter, IG, Instagram. There are many of them out there that are popular and that we are using for the sake of social interaction. And let me just compare the significance of the old traditional media and this emerging, which has probably emerged the past 2 decades, emerging reality of social media. Let me just compare the two. Well, in social media, everybody is a producer of content. There was a time when media was this: somebody produces and we just passively accept what's ever out there. It still exists. But social media gives us the capacity to produce content individually and share it to people. It's also a two-way communication, social media. There's an ability to share content and the other person also share content, and there's a communication between two, but not only two, maybe many, but all communicating to each other. There was a time media like radio and TV, it was just one person communicating to many. Also, one clear reality, because of the internet and the World Wide Web, social media has expanded to a global reach. There was a time when content was done by people for a particular country, a TV station creating something for a country. They weren't dreaming of sharing to the whole world. Slowly, those things changed, and media became global. And then you add the social networking experience today of media, which is not only local but global. And you see the phenomenon of what we have today. What's the perspective of the Catholic Church regarding technology or internet or this World Wide Web or social media? In general, I'd like to share with you some insights from Pope Francis regarding this area. The first insight is something that he said in the 48th World Communication Day. He said this, talking about the internet. The internet offers immense possibilities for encounter and solidarity. This is something truly good, a gift from God. End of quote. Pope Francis recognized that the internet is actually a gift. It's something good. Another insight from the same session that Pope Francis had in the World Communication Day. He said this: keeping the doors of our churches open also means keeping them open in the digital environment, so that people, whatever the situation in life, can enter, and so that the gospel can go out to reach everyone. The gospel can spread through the digital environment. And Pope Francis recognizes that. Last, this is from an encyclical entitled Communio et Progresso, paragraph 123. It says, since the media are often the only channels of information that exist between church and the world, a failure to use them amounts to burying the talent given by God. It's a talent given by God. Meaning, referring to the parable of the talents, you remember, master leaving some things to the servant, and those servants who were able to use what was left behind to increase the property and the profit of the master is something good. It's analogous to the kingdom of God. And here, Vatican, or the leaders of the Catholic Church, would like to at least encourage us, hey, one of the resources available to us is the internet. In this case, we could apply it to social media. It is something good. We can use it for the good. But with many things, I think we also recognize, and this comes from our teachings on Foundations Course 1, Media and Entertainment. We also would like to be guided by a certain awareness that anything that's good can also turn bad. That's why in the letter of Paul to the Philippians, St. Paul warns us that we could actually focus our things on things that are not right and not good. So therefore, there needs to be an effort to set our minds on the things that are right so that we can live a disciple's life. He says something like this, Philippians 4, 8 to 9. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. What you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you. Philippians 4, 8 to 9. St. Paul is telling us, think about these things. Actually, this phrase just means, literally, take an inventory of your life. Check if this is what you're living for. And clearly, he's not just talking about thinking about justice or being honorable or being excellent or being virtuous. No. Because he then says that this thinking and this mindset and is supposed to be practiced in the way we live. So he's talking about the moral life, the way Christians live. And whatever we get ourselves into can affect the way we live. So that's why we need to have the same caution with regards to the use of media. And in this case, social media. So what's the advice of the teachings that we give in Foundations Course 1? Well, one classic one is we need to approach social media this way. We need to be selective and limited. Social media must be used consciously, by decision, not indiscriminately, not in an unthinking way. We need to use social media also for good reasons, such as education, relationship building, evangelization. It could also be used for healthy distraction, relaxation, yes. But again, this is also quite dangerous because the warning is also this. But we need to avoid things that would lead to immorality in the way we think, in the way we behave. Pornography is there. Gossip is there. False news is there. Unchristian perspective. Avoid those things. I mean, yes, sometimes it's there, it's in the news, but be aware that you can decide not to get into it. Because another important point to realize is we need to be careful because social media also has a worldview. Media and entertainment has a worldview as a value system that we need to be careful of. Just being aware of it is enough. So that's why we also need to limit our use of media and not make it like our default mode of existing. Every day, I wake up in the morning, I open social media, and I always, all throughout the day, I'm with my family, talking to them, but I think none of us probably do that, but it's important for us not to fall into that mode, that social media is the default mode. We need to balance it with other ways of relating, other ways of communicating, and also other ways of relaxation. Because sometimes social media becomes our de-stress, removing stress kind of exercise or activity. If we're coming from a stressful situation, and then after coming from this stressful situation, you enter into just falling into opening the social media because you are tired, emotionally wasted. Sometimes you end up indiscriminately not thinking, getting into social media. That's why we need to balance our need for relaxation by saying social media is not the only way to relax. Spending time with people that you live with, or exercising, or reading a book, or just opening your life to a certain pattern that makes you face stress not only with social media but with other forms of entertainment and relaxation. I'll keep that in mind. So limit the use of social media. Especially limit the use of social media if social media tempts you to use your resources like your money. Because you're always checking social media, you end up buying a lot of things. Be careful in how social media can trap you into using your resources, time and money, for something that's not important. So I think you need to recognize that. So if that's our approach, selective and limited, we need to then say, okay, our leisure, our exercise of balance in life and relaxation must be purposeful. If it's purposeful, then we need to then look at social media this way. It is fun to engage in social media. Let's be aware that it could be addictive. It could be a trap. We could trap ourselves in using social media. Be aware of that. We need to recognize that the one reason we engage in social media is to take away our tiredness. So I mentioned that already. So be careful of that because you might end up falling into the trap of being addicted to it. We need to social media for building relationships. That's the key. And I think the more we use social media for the sake of relationship building, the more it becomes beneficial to us. I mean, because of social media, we could check on the people we're evangelizing. We could also check on the people that we're caring for as pastoral leaders. We could care for each other as brothers and sisters by checking on each other, by communicating, how are you? I mean, nowadays, somebody is sick in the hospital and I could actually check up on them by just sending them a text message. And we're able to pray, connect. So building relationships is a key purpose of social media. Let's use it for that because as disciples, relationships are very important to us. So we need to be proactive in this whole entertainment and leisure. And as I mentioned, we need to create ways wherein we could use our creativity in living our lives in a balanced way and making social media as just one of the means to the end of sort of relaxing and enjoying life. In conclusion, In our world today, social media can be our life. It's like everything that we do. Let's be careful. Social media is not our life. Discipleship is our life. And social media is one of the things that we have to use and we have to engage in as disciples. And the more we are clear that our main life is our discipleship life, the more we can engage in social media in a way that benefits our choice to be disciples. So, I hope those practical tips can be helpful to you, especially as we engage in social media. And I'm looking forward to sort of interacting with you with the questions that you would send via probably your leaders. And we will continue to talk about this in the community because it's an important area. Watch out for the next 2 talks about social media. God bless you. Thank you very much.